Hello, welcome back to my channel, and today I am going through my TBR for this weekend. One of the groups I'm in on Facebook is doing a readathon this weekend, just a little informal thing, and I'm going to be joining in on that, theoretically, if it all works out. So here's what I'm going to be focusing on. Most of these are books I started and just have never finished. And I don't like letting them linger too long, because then you start forgetting the plot and you have to reread the whole thing. So, without any further ado, here's the books. So first one is a sad copy of The Picture of Dorian Gray and other writings by Oscar Wilde. This one is partially a reread. I haven't read this collection, but I've read some of the stories. So if I get bored with the story, I do have my permission to skip it. I'm not really a fan of his prose writing all that much. So I just want to get it done and give it back to the person I borrowed it from. And I did check off The Picture of Dorian Gray on the 1001 books you must read before you die. But I read it a while ago, and I didn't get much of anything positive out of it. I've watched a few videos from other people that have read it, and they loved it. So either we have really different tastes, or I probably should reread it. I might still hate it, but I should reread it. Next on the list is London by Edward Rutherfurd. This is actually the third book I've read by this author. I read Ruska when the Russia-Ukraine war started, and I read Sarum later that same season. So this will be my third book. They're epic novels. They're on the order of Michener's Hawaii or Alaska. They start from early natural history of the place and then build up to people being there and all the way up to more or less the present. So they're kind of fun. Rutherfurd likes to follow the same genetic line, so they'll have some quirk to their physiognomy that makes it obvious that they're related to the previous generation in the book. So they're a bit different, and they seem to be well researched. So good historical fiction, really long. Next is I actually have read most of this collection. I just need to read the last story, which I think is Elric at the End of Time, which I know I reread. I know I read it. I'm rereading it, but I read it when I was in my early 20s. It's been a while. So when I finish that story, I can be done with that whole book. Then another big one that I just really want to make some progress on, Depths of Glory by Irving Stone. This one is a fictionalized biography of Camille Pissarro. So lots of art history stuff, and a bit tedious so far, which is why I haven't finished it. And it is a fat book, so I don't expect to finish either of those big fat books. I just want to make progress. This one's one I haven't started yet. I collect the occasional random murder mystery from the free shelves at the library. For the Love of Parvati, I don't know much about it. I don't like to know much about them until I start. That is a good thing. It's an author I haven't read before. Oleksiw? Susan Oleksiw. Which I'm sure I've mispronounced. But that one should be fun. Priscilla Masters, The Final Curtain, another random murder mystery that I picked up for free and plan to read soon. I haven't started either of those, so those are fresh books for this weekend. The 12 Caesars by Seutonius. I've read the first 2 Caesars, so I don't plan on finishing that this weekend either, but I might make progress on another Caesar. They're really messed up world leaders, and some of the stories are really entertaining. Then I have The Gift, which is a nonfiction book my sister sent me. I don't know if I like it yet. I've read the first maybe 50 pages. So I'm not sure if I'm going to like it because I don't like it already. But I don't dislike it. It might get better. The Wisdom of Crowds by James Surowiecki. I think that's how I would pronounce it. This is in the same genre as The Tipping Point and The Black Swan and sociology, social science sort of books for the public. This one's definitely sociology, and so far it's really interesting. It's been mentioned in other books in that genre that I enjoyed, so I'm enjoying it so far, and I look forward to finishing it. And then I have an omnibus book of George Eliot, which I am most of the way through the first story, Adam Bede. After I finish that, I may start the next one. This is also a book that I look up the LibriVox audiobooks and listen to those while I'm crocheting. So I may not physically read all the stories in this book. I might listen to large portions of them. And I did listen to the first third of Adam Bede. Some of the LibriVox recordings on the George Eliot books are a bit rough. Some of the readers are not native English speakers. And while I admire what they're doing, and I know I would not have the guts to try and record an audiobook in a language I'm not native to, at the same time, some of those readers are really hard to follow. So I like to have the book and the audiobook to go back and forth when I need to. I'm actually running into that with the audiobook I'm currently listening to, Shirley, which is by one of the Bronte sisters. It's on the 1001 Books You Must Read Before You Die list. It's okay, but I'm having a hard time following it because the readers on LibriVox are so inconsistent from one to the next. The volume actually changes, and some of the readers are really not very good at pronouncing English clearly. And some of the ones that are really fluent in French speak the French too fast. I'm not fluent. I just can understand some of it if they're slower. So I'm going to have to hunt down a print copy of Shirley probably from Project Gutenberg, so I'll read it online. But I don't have the energy to do an ebook this weekend. It's too much screen time. So I may just shelve Shirley for now and get back to it. And then the last book I'm finishing up, this is one I did a shorter video about already. I Sing the Body Electric by Ray Bradbury. I did reread a whole half of it yesterday as therapy while waiting to figure out what to do with a very injured kitten. Kitten, by the way, was very injured, and we took him and got him put down this morning. So he's not suffering. Where he came from, he would have been starving to death. So I feel good about getting him off the streets and giving him a humane ending. But that was a really rough night. I had to take a nap today because I didn't sleep the entire time he was here because I couldn't really fall asleep knowing that there was a kitten in that shape in my house. So it's been a long 2 days. But I did get a kitten yesterday to add to my collection of kittens from this particular site. So that is exciting. His name is Warlock. If you've read Good Omens, you know where that comes from. And he has 3 siblings, if we can catch them. They will be the Good Omens litter. And they will stay with me until, in this case, until the ringworm clears. And then they'll probably go to a rescue, not in my town, where there's a lot more demand. So my friends and I raise the kittens until they're ready to go, and then they go to a shelter. They're basically ready to be adopted, and they take it from there. Once Warlock's little nose gets its fur back, You might get to see him. We'll see about that. He may or may not cooperate, but he is getting friendlier. He was very hissy-spitty yesterday. And I've got a couple other cuties that, once their faces are no longer gruesome, might show up in video. Ringworm is like athlete's foot. They lose a little bit of fur. And, well, in one of their cases, her whole butt is bald. I'm sure she's very embarrassed that people see her with her naked butt. But when she gets her fur back in, she'll look just beautiful. Little fluffy tabby. So, they're not really much to look at right now. But having done ringworm fostering off and on for several years, I can tell you these guys are going to be gorgeous when their fur comes in. Anyway, those are the books I'm reading this weekend. I have a wall of books. I always have a wall of books every month that I am pulling from for my TBR. And I haven't been able to do much of them because I haven't finished all these books I've already started. And I'm really trying not to add to the books I've already started till I finish a few. So, hopefully my TBR next week will change radically once I cross some of these partially finished books off my list. So that's all for now. Let me know in the comments what you are reading. If you've read any of the books that I will be working on reading this weekend, have an excellent day and happy reading.